It's time to take off your clothes, enjoy clothes-free living, and join us for Naked, Nudist, and Naturist.
Welcome to Naked, Nudist, and Naturist, the show that celebrates clothes-free living for all. I'm your host, Frank Stone.
And I'm your correspondent, Lisa Monroe, and I'll be reporting on all things within the naturist community. So it's time to get naked and join us.
And enjoy clothes-free living on Naked, Nudists, and Naturists. Well, greetings and welcome in to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 219 today. Where have you been? We've been waiting for you since Wednesday, but we are glad that you are here now, ready to go, ready to move and groove and enjoy this next hour with us together. Clothes-free living for all of the right reasons. So come on in. The pool feels great. The hot tub is going full bore. The grill is going full blast as well. And by the way, today's grill is being operated by Julia. She will be our special guest on the next two Saturday shows, 221 and 223. We thank Julia for flying in last night and getting the grill going today. We'll have a tasty treat after the show today. We do have fruits and vegetables off to the right, cold drinks off to the left, hot drinks inside. If you leave the pool area on the left, you'll find a naturist fiction library and a hammock. If you need a break, want to get away from it all for a few moments, there you go. We have putting greens out back, bocce ball action off to the right. You come back in, we have that cigar bar in the back left corner of the pool. Everything is here for you, including extra towels, extra chairs, extra suntan lotion. You only have one job, and you know what that is. It's just to show up and be present and be with us for this entire hour. Clothes-free living for all of the right reasons. Well, on today's show, as Lisa Monroe is entering the studio with a cup of coffee, that looks good. I have mine already set to go. We will get to her in just a moment. She'll be joining us. And then about halfway through the show or so, a little before the halfway point, part two of my interview with Jonathan, the Orthodox Nudist. He writes a blog. He's from Jacksonville, Florida, and he posts pretty much every single week without fail. He's coming at you. He's coming at us with a brand new, fresh post all about naturism, nudism, and clothes-free living. I am not sure about you. I'm pretty sure that I hear some music in the background. Can you hear it? Let's listen together. Oh, yes, I can hear it. You can hear it, too. That can only mean one thing. It's time for the great, the terrific, the completely over-the-top, fully clothes-free and fully smiling, our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. And here she is, the one and only, the one of a kind, the completely clothes-free and fully smiling, our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. Good morning, Lisa. How are you today?
Good morning, Frank. I'm doing very well this morning. How about you?
Doing well. Do you continue to be impressed that I'm able to not look at you while I'm introducing you?
I have noticed your dedication to not breaking up during the opening of the show is quite impressive, I guess is the best word for it.
Have you yet given up, or are you still waiting for that moment?
Oh, I will never give up. I'll never,
okay.
ever give up. So, the day will come, and they will know.
All right. Yeah, that's kind of why I keep not looking at you during the intro. And once we get going, we're okay. But August 15th, the middle of August, can you believe it?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I really don't. It's amazing how fast time flies by now. It's just unreal.
Yeah, you're not kidding. And no truth to the rumor that Christmas will be this weekend, but it certainly feels like it could be plausible. If somebody told me, I'd probably believe it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that in the Super Bowl 2 weeks from now, I'm not sure.
It might as well be. Life is moving at a very fast
It
pace.
sure is.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. I mean, we're doing a lot of things, so we're very busy, we're very productive. And then when we stop to, smell the coffee, it's like, whoa, it's 3 years later. How did that happen? Or whatever. But we're enjoying it.
Yes, I think we're enjoying it, and that's why because we did wake up and it's all of a sudden 3 years later. So, and that's kind of a strange thing because really and truly, I don't know if anyone believes it, but it feels like we just started this show and now we're into our fourth year. So
Hmm.
I'm not sure where the time went, but it was spent quite well.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed every second. I wonder if there's an expert out there who would listen to our first couple of shows and let's say listen to today's show and make a comparison. There have definitely been changes and there are differences in how we produce the show, how we record, and how we edit. No question about that. We are always in the learning phase. Whatever we do today, can we do it better tomorrow? And so
Exactly.
we've changed a lot of things along the way. Subtle changes, but they all add up to, I don't want to say a totally different show, but certainly a lot of changes have been made. It'd be kind of fun slash cool if somebody were to do that. It would take a lot of time, and maybe we should do it ourselves, but do some self exploration there. But I haven't listened to episode 1, 2, or even in the first 10, let's say, for a long time. But maybe it's been about a year. But
Yeah.
when I went back and listened to the first
Hmm.
few episodes, I actually enjoyed them as a listener. So there's that aspect too. And you get far enough away from the production and you can listen as a listener. Have you done that with any shows?
I
The
have
first?
for some shows in the past. I haven't gone back to the very first ones, and
Yeah.
I know when we first started the show, I had not done any radio or anything like this in a while. I guess I just felt somewhat stiff and out of practice, and so I think it took a few shows for me to go, "Oh yeah, we remember this. This is fine," and just be you, and that's the end of that. So I hope it got better.
Well, yeah. And plus, we had to get used to each other, the ebb
Yeah,
and the flow, the
right.
timing, and not stepping over each other's lines. And
Mhm.
that's all come to fruition. So now we're in that phase where we're just cooking and moving and grooving and loving every second of it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, as everybody knows, we do have a Patreon page. And as you should know by now, because we've announced it, we have majorly upped our game there. If you're at the top level, you get at least one video per week. That is a promise. We
Mhm.
guarantee one video a week. Our goal is to give you three a week. And in some weeks, we're giving you five, six, not seven yet, but I'm sure the week will be coming soon. So our goal is to give you as much video as we can, as much as time allows, but guaranteed at least one a week. There'll be very few weeks where you only get one. And then the top two levels, of course, still get the special content once a month. All of our PPPs, paying Patreon peeps, get the newsletter once a month and other goodies along the way. You get
Mhm.
the upper level also gets the show a day in advance. So lots of perks, lots of reasons to be a PPP. And on each show, Lisa Monroe, we highlight some new folks who have joined the PPP brigade. Who do we have today?
We have today Steve and Jim. Welcome to both of you and glad to have you on board with us and hope you enjoy being part of the group.
All right, very good. Thank you, Steve, for being a part of our PPPs. And Jim, thank you as well for being a PPP. And thank you to all of our PPPs, paying Patreon peeps. We appreciate you. You're helping us meet expenses. And we encourage a non PPP to become a PPP today
Mhm.
and help support the show. And you get a lot of perks. You get some free gifts in the mail just for joining. And then again, as the show unfolds, you get different types of content depending on which level you're at. How about merchandise? And Lisa Monroe, what's new and groovy in that area?
Well, it's still there. There's still a great list of things that if anyone wants towels, coffee mugs, water bottles, those nice thermos type mugs, you know, t-shirts, hoodies, phone. We actually have a cell phone cover because you can use it to slip like your keys and things like that into. So you have that to go with you. Tote bags, so all kinds of things. And it is now kind of winding down. Oh, I hate to say that, winding down our wonderful warm season in this part of the world, but it's starting to get warm down under. So don't forget, it's time to get a beach towel.
That's right, to get them early. I
Mhm.
just used, as I was introducing the merchandise, I used the word groovy.
I think you
And
did.
I have never used that word in my life in a serious context. Now, I'll say it just to be silly. Have you, was that ever a part of your vernacular where, hey, Lisa, what do you think of this dress? Oh, it's groovy, man. Did you ever get to that
Mm,
stage in life?
no, I
Okay.
don't think I ever did. I mean, I probably used the term the same way you have, but No, I don't think it was ever part of my day to day conversation.
Okay, I'm just wondering. I
Yeah.
remember this one show. It was a soap opera that I got hooked on in college.
Didn't
It's
we
easy to
all?
do. Yeah, that's exactly right. And you feel like you know these characters,
Yes.
kind of like people feel they know us, and really you
Hmm.
do because we are who we come off as. But a TV show is different. They are playing a character.
Yeah.
And this one guy was really cool. He was just one of those cool guys. And one day, I don't know, somebody said something like, "This would be a good idea to do this or whatever." And he said, "Oh, you bet your sweet bippy." Well, first of all, do you remember that expression?
Yes,
That
as
was
I
going
remember.
around for a while. Yeah.
Yes, I remember that from, I believe, Laugh-In, from watching the reruns of Laugh-In. That it was the little guy that played. I can't remember his name, but anyway, I remember that line.
Okay. So you bet your sweet bippy. And
Hmm.
so he said that. And I reacted to myself like, what did he just say? And even he, as the guy playing the role, because a lot of those soap operas, they film every day practically.
Right.
And learning your lines can be
Oh.
almost impossible. So they do have a tendency to ad lib a little bit and maybe
Hmm.
a lot. So he said, "Oh, you bet your sweet bippy." And he goes, "What did I just say? I can't believe that I just." And he kind of broke character. It
uh,
was kind of like him. You could tell that the change
that's
in
funny.
attitude and everything.
Yeah.
And then he got back into the character, but they left it in because it was funny.
Yeah.
Why not? So
I think it is funny.
if we start using bippy and groovy around here,
Okay, well, I think we should get some tie-dyed shirts, and if we have to wear anything, at least some tie-dyed bandanas for our hair or something,
oh
and
gosh.
and some
Uh,
Birkenstocks, and we'll be right in the groovy Bet Your Bippy world. So,
Oh yeah, we are cool and moving and grooving,
oh
as we
yes,
like to say.
rose-colored glasses. Need those little round glasses that are
Hmm.
rose-colored. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Well, speaking of being groovy, we are going to look at some cities today in which you can actually be nude in the United States of America. A lot of people think you must always be dressed everywhere. That's not necessarily the case. There are only a few places you can, and we are going to be careful with this article and preface it with saying, first of all, the article is 6 years old.
Hmm.
Secondly, do not take this as the gospel be all end all. And if you go to one of these cities and get naked as a jaybird and get arrested, don't say, "Hey, Frank and Lisa said I could." We are not saying you can.
Yeah.
We're just telling you within an article, a website called Refinery 29, and the author is Ellie Bell. And in 2020, they put out a list of places where you can be nude in the USA. If you plan to go to one of these cities, or if you live near one of these cities and you want to dive in today, double, triple, quadruple check on the laws, the ordinances, and everything else. We don't want anybody getting in trouble.
No.
Well, her article starts off in the United States, being naked is, of course, only publicly legal in certain places or under certain circumstances. Nudity laws have changed over the years, but in most places, there are only laws about indecent exposure of specific body parts. Plenty of places have nude beaches in areas where it's okay to bear it all, but it's not as common as it was in yesteryears when the 1980s popularized nude swimming in the YMCA used to allow men to be nude together to swim. And we've talked about that before. The fact that I just said that out loud, and even to me,
Yeah.
it surprised me a bit. That just tells you how far we've gone downhill as a society. Men showing up together at the YMCA or the Boys Club, which I
Hmm.
was a member of that. Not only could you swim nude together, you had to be nude or you weren't getting in the pool. And sometimes I have to laugh when you tell your story about your dad, like
Yeah.
every Saturday going to the YMCA to swim. Daddy, can I go? Can I go? No, you cannot.
Yep.
And you never understood, well, geez, why not? Well, now you know.
No, I do. I
That's
definitely do.
right.
One thing she said here, though, is that when the 1980s popularized nude swimming, and I think nude swimming was popular way before the 1980s because
Oh, yeah.
so many swim clubs, so many kids, skinny dipping in the local pond or whatever. Yeah, I think it went on long before that. Maybe just more people became aware of it in that time period.
It's possible. From what I've read, the 1980s is basically when nude swimming at the YMCA and other places ended. That's when they put
That's
an
yeah.
end to it. And started putting an end to it in the 70s, and by the 80s, it was totally gone. But she goes on, now there are legalities surrounding nudism in the U.S. that involve actual punishments and legal repercussions for walking around nude, the total opposite of some places in the world like Spain, where being nude is written into the country's constitution as an inalienable right. And
Wow.
before we get to the actual cities, you want to read those next two paragraphs.
I certainly will. Consequences for indecent exposure can range from and include incarceration, fines, being put on a sexual offender registry, community service time, and more. In Vermont and Alaska, for example, you could get into trouble for exposing yourself. The laws all widely differ, and while some pose a threat to freedom, others are intentionally restrictive safety measures. There are states and cities, however, that allow people to celebrate nudity in all of its forms in special locations. Ahead, we mapped out some of the U.S. cities and states where you can be free to publicly celebrate National Nude Day.
Okay, which was last month, I think.
Mhm.
So the first one she mentions, and again, do not take this to the bank. Do not go to Seattle and whip your clothes off without double, quadruple checking the laws there, because it might have changed. This article is from 2020. So Seattle, Washington, the first one. Seattle actually allows for people to be nude anywhere, anytime, as long as you're not making anyone uncomfortable. Many people go to relax at beaches or parks without the stress of clothing and have been doing so since the 1990s when the case of Seattle versus Johnson made it legal. And I don't know if that's still in place. We're just reporting and reading from the article, Refinery 29 in 2020. The next place.
Oregon. Most places in Oregon are pretty lenient when it comes to nudity, as it turns out. There are plenty of nude spas and clubs you can go to when it's safe to go places again after the COVID pandemic, of course. And of course, this was an older article. There are even lots of hot springs where you can enjoy unwinding totally au naturel.
All right. And next one, Austin, Texas. Surprisingly, Austin is one of the most topless friendly cities in the United States, where there are no laws specifically forbidding public nudity. In fact, Hippie Hollow is Texas's government-maintained clothing optional park, which covers 100 acres on Lake Travis's shoreline and is a great place to cool off in the nude. Okay, now I've heard about that place,
I have
Hippie
too.
Hollow. Yeah, and the government owns it in Texas, and life is great. But again, I'll probably say this 50 more times. Check the laws and ordinances before you whip your clothes off in these places. This article is 6 years old, and we're not even confirming the accuracy. Then we're just reading what this person put out. New York is the next one. You want to take that?
New York is one of the only places where anyone of any gender can go topless publicly without it being considered indecent exposure. However, it's still not legal to bare your genitals, so no summer streaking across Rockaway Beach unless you want a hefty fine.
Right, which we don't. And that's interesting. They would say that. New York's one of the only places where anyone of any gender can go topless publicly. Okay. When I was in New York, and it's been 10 years or so, I spent a few weeks there. That's the last time I spent a few weeks there. Every night, I would say, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 at night. It was still light outside. It was in the summertime. That's when I would go jogging. And I was in Manhattan, so I'd go jogging through the streets of Manhattan. No shirt on, bare chested. I got nonstop looks from people with the expressions, "Are you kidding me? Whoa, that guy has no," that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So apparently, even shirtless men in New York is not normal. It's accepted and it's legal, but it's not done. I assumed that it was, but I just like every night people just looking at me like, "Whoa, hey, sir, are you aware you have no shirt on?" Nobody said anything, but I felt the looks and the stares.
It's
So
interesting.
I don't know. So even when you can go shirt free, which men can basically do anywhere, I think jogging up and down a street anywhere in the United States with no shirt on for men is acceptable.
I would never think anything of a guy running was shirtless if he, running through the park, running through the street. I mean, that just seems normal, especially if it's hot out. You're lucky enough not to have to wear anything else like that. So
Yeah.
it's really strange, but I guess, people are so used to being dressed and dressed up and dressed uniquely and everything in New York that it is a status symbol in how you're dressed. So maybe that's it. They're like, how could he do that? Why has he got on his designer shirt? So who knows?
I don't know. All right, Philadelphia. Is it your turn or mine? Oh, I think it's my turn.
Yeah.
You did the Rockaway
Yes,
Beach thing.
I
Okay.
did Rockaway Beach.
Philly technically allows you to be naked as long as you're not being lewd. In fact, there's usually an annual naked bike ride, which has also been seen in other places like Los Angeles. Still, people usually cover their genitals. Now, that's not true. I've seen pictures and video of naked bike rides all over the world. There's nobody covering their genitals like, oh, I'm naked, but I better not show everything. That's the whole point of a naked bike ride, is to be
Right.
naked. So again, that's why we're pointing out, not sure the accuracy, but at least it's information. Any comment on that?
Well, I do think there are some people who go on the naked bike ride and do have on something just to sit on, so to speak. But yeah, I think for the most part, everyone is naked. I mean, the first one I ever saw in New Orleans, there were costumes, but they were naked with their costumes. So, so I think I guess some people, even wanting to express their love of being nude, are still having that kind of societal guilt, and may covers things. So silly.
Well, again, to quote verbatim from her article, people usually cover their
Mm-hmm.
genitals, not the odd person in the middle of the pack, but
Yeah.
usually. That's not true. I
No.
know that's not true, just
No.
based on what I've seen. All right, the last state, Florida, it's all yours.
It's actually completely legal to go out in the nude for some sun at many beaches in Florida, where at places like Miami's Hullover Beach, it's clothing optional. Feel free to bear it all at Playlinda, Blind Creek Beach, or even South Beach, although watch out for camera phones. Perhaps the only exception. I didn't realize that you could be nude on South Beach.
Well, no, I read up on that a little because that shocked me as well. And it said, a few articles said it's not legal to do so, but it's allowed. People look the other way. Other articles said, absolutely not. Do not
Yeah.
whip your clothes off there. You will be in trouble. So
Yeah.
that's why everything we're saying, it comes with a note of caution. Check and check a bunch of times to be really sure. Don't get out there and do something that gets you in trouble. Say, well, I heard on Naked Nudists and Naturists. In fact, Lisa even read the paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
No, we are not experts. We are not legal authorities here. We're giving you information that you can go check out. If you're looking to be nude in public, these are the places where this particular publication says you can go. But again, it's 6 years old, and we don't know if everything was accurate when it was printed 6 years ago. But it's information you can go check out. You're probably better off finding nude places in the states we've mentioned as opposed to states we have not mentioned. We didn't mention Utah. You can't walk. We didn't say you can walk down the street in Salt Lake City, Utah, naked as a jaybird. So you probably shouldn't do that.
No.
Florida, Philadelphia, New York says you can to a degree. So check it out before you go. At least there's a place to look into. And there's still some more on Florida if you want to finish up there.
Perhaps the only exception, although there is no legal precedent, is Bunch Beach Preserve in San Carlos Bay of Fort Myers, which definitely does not want anyone to take their clothes off. Well, there are a lot of places like that in Florida where you can't.
Yeah, I would say there are more of those than the ones you actually can take your clothes off on. So
interesting. Aside, when I lived on the west coast of Florida, the beaches there are beautiful on the Gulf, and I'm a beach person. So every Saturday morning, I would be out on the water. I mean, laying on this in the sun, and the city was very, very popular with tourists, European tourists, and there was a lot of Europeans who, I think most of them were German, that came over one summer, probably some sort of package deal going on. And they thought nothing of getting in the water, coming back out, pulling their wet swimsuits off, drying off, and then putting another pair of shorts or another swimsuit on. You would not believe the hue and cry that went on in that city because those horrible people actually showed their behind. Oh my goodness. Because most of the time they were facing the water. They weren't facing, flaunting anything, but it didn't matter. But it's a common natural thing, and there was a lot of problem. I mean, the police started patrolling the beaches, and, that's a good way to get rid of European tourists, especially on a beautiful beach like that.
Yeah, once they got back and reported that to friends and family, they probably didn't do it again. So
probably not, and that's but it's ridiculous. Everyone who ever complains to me about, oh, I could never be naked. Why? Everybody has the same thing. You're either one gender or the other as far as as physical looks go. So what's the deal? Everybody has the same equipment. It just annoys me to no end to hear that. Oh, I could never do that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, we've been through that a million
yep,
times. The
fear.
whole societal thing. Yeah,
Yep,
it's just,
it's
we,
fear.
we came out naked. Society said, we're going to put clothes on you because, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. We want to make a lot of money.
Right.
And we've come to accept it as a society. Oh, you got to have clothes on when you go outside. Well, it wasn't intended to be that way. And that's why it feels so great when you are clothes free. Well, Lisa Monroe, with that, let's head for the hills. We have part 2 of my interview coming up with Jonathan, the Orthodox Nudist, a terrific writer. And you're the writer in the group here. And I don't know if you've had a chance to check out his blog. If not, please do, because he writes very well, all on the subject of nudism, naturism, clothes-free living for all of the right reasons. So if you promise to stay naked as a jaybird, we'll get together at the end of the show. Is that a deal?
It's a deal.
All right, we'll see you then.
Bye.
The very terrific Lisa Monroe as she goes dancing out of the studio off to the coffee pot. Hopefully she'll bring me another cup during the interview. But Lisa Monroe does it all around here, and we appreciate her very much. Well, you are listening to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 219 today. We are really glad that you're with us, enjoying clothes-free living for all of the right reasons for this entire hour. And now let's get to part 2 of my interview with Jonathan from Jacksonville, Florida. He writes a blog called The Orthodox Nudist. Link is in the show notes. Part 2 with Jonathan, the Orthodox Nudist. But the story itself was an unusual story because the Bible talks about, God created us. Here's how he created us, naked as jaybirds, as I like to say. And this Pastor Jim is a pastor who discovered naturism while being a pastor, and he got kicked out of the church for going to a nudist resort, I guess.
Right.
He's living the life of the Bible, gets kicked out of a job teaching the Bible for going and living the biblical life. Makes no sense at all. And you think that story came out pretty well in terms of it being told?
I think so. I felt like there was a few points where I kind of lost where it was going, but then it got back on track. Again, like I said, low budget editing and acting. Sometimes it's hard to, I imagine they were also working against the wildfires, and so yeah. But I think overall, for what it's really good, and it did tell the story.
Yeah, they had a lot of stuff they had to deal with. Right, the wildfires. They had to relocate to another state, which involves packing all the equipment, all the people. And I've talked to Tim before about this. He said what people don't know about, they think about the movie, the cameras, the microphones, whatever. He goes, there's a whole lot of food involved too that has to be brought in, catered, whatever, to feed the crew and the staff, or the actors, whatever. He said, so we had to make different arrangements for that. So yeah, I'm sure he was up 24 hours a day, many days in a row just to pull this off. But glad to hear overall. So you give it a pretty positive rating. People ought to check it out.
Yeah, they definitely should.
Yeah. Now, you had a whole bunch of blog posts on this big nude boat. So I'm guessing this had a big impact on you and you had a really good time. Let's tell us all about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, I went from having no social nude experience a few years ago to joining FCN and getting acquainted with about 100 and 200 or so extra, other naked people. But then I go on this big nude boat, and here I am with 2,000 other people, and that was an experience like nothing else. It was incredible.
And everybody is nude most of the time, except when they go into port.
Yeah, it's funny because you read the reviews and everybody, people get dressed and blah blah blah. But I think last year they had the thermostat turned down too much, but this year it was they learned their lesson. So they turned the thermostat up, and I was sweating a lot of the time, honestly. Yeah.
And then there are certain dining rooms, or maybe all the dining rooms, where you do have to have clothes on.
The formal dining rooms, you have to wear clothes.
Okay.
The buffet, you did not. So most of the time we hit the buffet, unless it
Oh,
was a
okay.
port. If it was a port day, we said, well, we're already dressed. We may as well do the sit down.
Okay. Now, why in the formal dining rooms? Is that just protocol
I
because they want a different vibe in there, or is it? It can't
I
be
have
health department related because they allow
right. I
meat
have
eating
no
elsewhere.
idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea. It's just
Well, based
silly
on
rules.
based on reading, I think you had what 6 or 7 posts on the big nude boat.
Hmm.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a really good time. Probably somewhere down the road you'll try it again. You think?
I hope so. A couple of years from now, probably.
Yeah. All right.
Gotta save up the vacation time and the money.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's you
Yeah.
need a lot of both to go on
Right.
that trip for sure. We are talking to Jonathan this morning. He goes by Orthodox Nudist, writes a blog on naturism, nudism, orthodoxnudist.wordpress.com. If you didn't get a chance to write that down, if you're driving around, the link is in the show notes. And what's next for you for the rest of the summer or into the fall or winter? Any particular posts you're thinking about, or you develop them as they go along?
No, I'll probably just continue my magazine reviews
Yeah.
and I'm thinking about just writing some more stuff about getting young people involved, getting the younger generation.
Any particular ways to do that? You know, that's been one of the biggest struggles for years because the younger people eventually become middle aged and older, and it just kind of recycles and refuels the whole membership thing.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Kind of, you read the old magazines, and people were concerned about it even back in the '60s.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just big factor is the fact that older people have more time. A lot of them are retired and they have more time to do social things. Um, but I think with the youth, they're perpetually online. They're they're socially awkward. Um, but a lot of them, there's kind of a movement to, as they say, touch grass. They want to get out in the real world. They want to have real socializing. They want to interact with nature. And I think nudism is, we should take advantage of that and point out that this is the most raw you can be. This is the most natural you can be. The interactions with people. I've met the most close friends I've ever had in my life. Just the closest friends. Um, People that I would have never been friends with before. Uh, Now I'm inseparable from them.
Yeah.
Uh, Nudity really opens up a lot of, it breaks down a lot of barriers. Uh, so I think pointing that out to the youth would be, a good way to start.
That is one of the tenets here is when you're close free, psychologically, well, obviously physically, but psychologically too, you've
Uh,
removed all of the barriers, all the nonsense. It's just you and it's just him, or just you and just her. And
right.
now, you're not going to spend the first 5 minutes. Hey, nice shirt. Where'd you get that shirt? Oh, I got it from a guy down in, wherever. And then you talk, 5 minutes about a shirt or a shirt you got from another country. That's all literally removed. And so you just get down to the nitty gritty. So tell me
I
about
mean,
that.
you have to understand people as their personalities now,
Yeah,
and you have to know their background. You have to really dig into the person to find out where they're from and what
yeah,
they're about.
yeah.
Um, I think, you know, I think the younger people tend to be a little bit more, have some firmer boundaries about what you can compliment versus what you should avoid complimenting.
Hmm.
Uh, you should compliment their hair, something they put effort into, but don't compliment something on their body that they don't have any control over that, and they might take offense to what you're saying. So you have to kind of walk a line. Um, I think the older generations, their boundaries are a little bit looser as far as what they felt comfortable saying to each other.
Yeah.
You know, um, I know a lot of the older gentlemen kind of come across a little bit creepy to the younger
Hmm.
people, and it's like, there's a generational gap there with communication. I think there needs to be some grace from both sides to understand that I need to watch what I say to the younger people, and the younger people need to say, okay, he's complimenting me. I need to be grateful and just say thank you, and go about my day. He's not trying to creep on me, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. And a lot of it is I always go by actions more than words. So if somebody
Right.
says something that I view as creepy or off color, like, okay, I'll monitor this. I'm not going to make any deal out of it right now. And if it's followed up by an action, okay, now we have to talk. And I'm thinking in terms of a woman, and this is just me talking. This is not, the golden rule or anything. If a guy says, "Hey, that color looks really good on you," some women will get offended by that. Oh, he's checking out
Right.
my body. He thinks my whatevers look good in this color. Now, if that's all he says and moves along and that's the end of it, well, then he was just paying you a compliment. Now, if he
Right.
says you look really good in that color and then goes up and hugs her or puts his hand on her shoulder, it's like, okay, now we have an action involved. And maybe
Hmm.
that's the lesson here. Just accept compliments for what they are, just people being nice to each other. As long as they
Right.
deliver it and, like I
Right.
just delivered, say, "Hey, baby, you look hot in that dress." Well, that's over the line. I think everybody can
Hmm.
agree to that, unless you know the woman really well, like as in a girlfriend or a wife.
Right.
And you're right. There is a generational thing there. Are you finding younger people just don't compliment each other now because they're afraid of being labeled as a creep?
No, I think they generally compliment each other on their style or something that they have more input into, not just their appearance.
Okay.
They're not saying nice butt; they're saying
Right.
nice skirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, which is when you're naked, that makes those compliments a little bit harder to come up with.
Oh yeah.
What can you compliment them on? Their hairstyle, I guess. So then you just try to avoid complimenting physical features and instead, ask them how they're doing, I guess.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
interaction's a bit different.
that would be my advice too. Don't, as a man, don't ever compliment a naked woman, at the
Right.
beach or at a nudist resort, because it could and most likely will be taken a little bit differently than if she it had, what pair of pants and a t-shirt on or whatever. But
Right.
even then, it could be risky. But if she's naked as a jaybird, say, "Hey, you look pretty good today." Like, well, what does that mean? You know,
Yeah,
and maybe it
exactly.
just means that you look really good today. But some people will take it as a different way altogether. So, pretty good advice. What about you mentioned just a few moments ago about old magazines? You seem to have an affinity for the history of
Yeah.
naturism. How did that come to be? Are you just a history buff to begin with? No pun
Yeah.
intended using the word buff, but tell us about that.
Yeah, I've always been a bit of a history buff. And then, you combine that with a passion for nudism. And I started the blog because I wanted to get back to the roots of what is this movement about? What is
Mhm.
this lifestyle about? Um, so last year, I think it was. Well, I've always been buying the magazines. I would buy N magazine. I would buy Travel Naturally, whatever there was available at Borders back when I was in college,
Mhm.
and then a few things here and there online. But last year, I go to bidding websites, and I'm probably a bit addicted to those. Uh, but there was a lot with 5 or 6 old Sunshine and Healths from the late '50s, early '60s.
Mhm.
So I bid on those and uh, kind of went from there. I actually went and bought probably 10 more at the library down in Cypress Cove,
Mhm.
the Anner Library there.
Yeah.
They've got a great selection. And then I've won another auction of like 15 or 20 last year.
Wow.
So I'm slowly scanning them and reading them and writing uh, reviews.
What have you found overall, looking back, 50, 60, 100 years or whatever, however far back you've gone? Have things changed along the ways in terms of views, or is close for living for all the right reasons basically been the mantra? What do you think?
I think it's surprising how similar it is. There really hasn't been a big change. The concerns were the same then. The we're all getting older. This is a problem. Um, there was an article in one about you know we're not asexual, we're just non-sexual.
Yeah.
We're human beings, so you don't think of us as some sort of sterile whatever. And I think that's still a problem.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is the same, and a lot of it is. I think there was more of an emphasis on health. There was no drinking in a lot of those parks.
Oh, okay.
Um, there was actually one of the parks had rules about dancing. You couldn't dance without clothes on. You had to put clothes on if you wanted to dance.
Okay.
So there's little changes, but nothing major.
And that would be slow dancing or fast dancing. Just
Just any
you got to
dancing,
dance, you
yeah.
got to have clothes on. Yeah, and
You
I
have to
could
put
see why
clothes
that
on.
would be an issue, especially back then. Various parts
Right,
shake and naked behind shake around. Yeah, it could get somebody jazzed up, I guess, if they're prone to that. And that, and that's a good point you brought up. We're not asexual;
right,
we are non-sexual. And even when you go to the grocery store, if a guy sees a reasonably attractive woman, he might give it a second look. And I
right.
saw her on aisle 2. I'm going to look for her on aisle 3 and give her a second look.
Yeah,
And then you move on. You don't get creepy and the cereal aisle and say, hey baby, what kind of cornflakes do you like? So to see a woman at a nudist resort whom you find attractive, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, acting upon it, there's something wrong with it.
right,
Staring, definitely something wrong with it. Getting creepy, you're going to get kicked out of here. So there are lines we don't cross as we learn what it's all about. And we just
right.
accept each other for who we are and for who each other is, not, wow, you look really good. I think I'll get to know you at the nudist resort. No, that has no place in the world at all, in the world of naturism, right?
Right. I did write a post about I've had some experiences being creeped on with men.
Yeah.
I and I think I should have reported them. Uh, and I'm thinking, one of the other ways we could help get people in is to maybe have some kind of reporting mechanism. Because I feel like if I had gone to the club owner, he might not have done anything because, oh, he's that guy's a known entity. We like that guy, the good old boy club. But if you could go to Anner and say have some sort of an investigation, that guy followed me back to my campsite and was
Yeah.
trying to proposition me. So yeah, and I've had a few other instances where those kinds of things happened. Um, but I like to say, we are not asexual. I'm a single man. I notice what I notice. I like women. I notice them,
Mm,
but it is non-sexual, as in I'm not there to creep on them. I'm not there to pick them up.
right.
If we have a conversation and it goes somewhere, great. But otherwise, you know, have some propriety.
It's like anything else. You go into a restaurant, see an attractive woman, and
Right.
maybe you walk by her table on the way to the restroom, say, hi, how are you tonight? And before you know it, you're talking, assuming she's not with another
Hmm.
guy, of course. That's just how life works. You meet people, you get to know people. You might be attracted to some, not attracted to others, and then we just move along. It's when we treat it different, like, hey, you're naked. I think we could really go for broke tonight. That's when some people get in trouble. So we leave that out of it. I want to turn to a blog post you had. It looks like back in 2021,
Okay.
and it's a Naturist for a Clothes-Free World 2.0 group rules from the administrators. Was this your group or was it somebody else's group?
So I started a Facebook group back in
Oh,
college,
okay.
uh, way back when Facebook was a brand new thing. Uh, I started a just a naturist for a clothes-free world is what I called it,
Okay.
and it was floating around maybe 5 to 10 members for I don't know 15 years. I'd forgotten it was even there. Um, and then I start getting all these notifications of all these people joining. Somehow it went viral, and I ended up with I think 20,000 or so people at one point.
Wow.
And it was going for a little while. I had to get admins. I had to get people to help me to administrate this this page. Um, and then Facebook just shut it down one day. It was just gone. It was it was there one day, gone the next. Uh, so I started up close Naturist for a Close Free World 2.0, and
Okay.
that's the current one. I'm not terribly active there. I should be more active, but there's a long list of people waiting to be approved.
Okay.
But I have a questions. You have to answer the questions. You have to prove that you're a real person. I
Mm.
don't want just bots and weird people getting on there. I have to approve every post as well. So
Oh,
if
wow.
if there's inappropriate things, I have to deny the post, and
Yeah.
so it's a process.
That definitely a time consuming activity. You have some rules on the group rules from the admins, and these are just all common sense, kind of what we've been
Hmm.
talking about. No unsolicited photos. Don't ask for photos and don't send unsolicited photos to other members, or you will automatically be banned. Well, that
Right?
should be common sense 101, but common sense isn't always common, is it?
No, no,
Yeah.
it's not.
Hey baby, you sound nice, send me your photo. Or hey, here's one of me. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the creepy aspect. Like, why did you think she wanted a picture of you, even of your face, let alone
Right.
whatever else?
Right.
She didn't ask for one. She didn't hint along those ways. And so just don't do it, and don't ask for one, as you pointed out. And nude photos, they're fine as long as they fall within Facebook community standards.
I'm finding those are shifting. You never know what one day will be removed and
Yeah.
the next day will be fine.
I wasn't aware that Facebook allowed any nudist nude photos, but they do to a degree.
So, well, like if you blur out the nipples on females,
Okay.
and obviously no genitals, buttocks are hit or miss.
Uh,
It's funny because I think Instagram said no more buttocks, but then the nudists that I follow on there, they're there, they are, and I'm like, okay,
yeah.
so sometimes they let it slide, sometimes
Okay.
they don't. You never
Oh,
know.
okay.
Just like the group was there one day and the next it was gone. They just shut it down because they didn't like the topic.
Oh. And so not even a warning like, hey, you better get
Oh
control of
no,
this by
there
Friday or we're
was
going to
no
take it
warning.
down. Just wow.
No, I do occasionally, if they take a post down, they will send me a notification, and they'll say this post goes against our community standards, and then you can appeal it.
Okay.
Sometimes you know why, sometimes you don't. And then you don't know where it goes from there.
Well, when they say it goes against the community standards, what does that mean? You can take it down or leave it up and risk it all,
They
or
will
what?
take it. They took it down because it
Okay,
violated the
gotcha,
standards.
gotcha.
So
Okay, yeah, probably not worth fighting at that point because if you fight enough times, they'll say, you know what, this guy, whether it's people making the decision or a computer, it's
right,
his fifth complaint in a week. He's out of here. He's gone.
right.
And then there's really no appeal process. I'm hearing
Mm-mm.
because it's hard to get a hold of a human being.
You can appeal it, but you don't know where it goes. You just say, I disagree with this, and then either they come back and say okay, or they come back and say too bad. It's
We'll often get from Twitter, a slap on the wrist for whatever they call it. And it's a lot of times it's our Friday promos. They're 1, 2, 3 minutes long, and they have a couple of cartoonish photos of representing Lisa. She doesn't look anything like those photos, but so those are appropriate. They're newswomen in newsmaker or news reporter outfits, and then we'll have some posts or some photos of the guest who's going to be on the show. And never nudity, or if it is, it's like from the shoulders up, and so
right,
nothing inappropriate at all whatsoever, not even close. And we'll get a warning. Like, there's inappropriate content here if you'd like to appeal. So I appeal every time now. Before I let it
right,
go, but I thought, no, I'm going to appeal. And every time they take the warning off.
right.
So it must be a
I
word, or I
I'm
don't know what it
trying to
is.
get on there more. I'm trying to get on Twitter more, but what I've noticed on Twitter is there's like full on pornography, and those people
Oh, yeah.
just keep posting and they get away with it. But then you have a nudist page, and all of a sudden it's verboten. I don't understand their processes at all.
Somebody told me, and this is just one person who's not an expert, it doesn't work for Twitter or anything. He said if you can get your content labeled as adult only, and I don't know
Mm,
if you do that or if they do that, then you can pretty much get away with anything because everybody knows if I
uh,
click here, it's adults only. Well, that sounds nice, but 10-year-olds are not going to say adults only. Well, I'm out of here. No, they're going to click on it if no one's around.
right.
But I don't know if that's true or not. Have you heard anything like that?
I've never heard that. No.
Okay. So maybe that's why, as you said, flat out pornography. I mean, there are sexual acts
Hmm.
in the act of happening that are posted on Twitter. It's like, you have to be kidding me. And then we get a a knock because there's a news reporter in
There's
fully
some
dressed.
shoulders. There's
not,
shoulders,
not even
shoulders are
that.
right.
Could be fully dressed. We had one way the cartoons of again female reporters fully dressed, like they're reporting the news, just cartoons. And then the guest, every photo we had of the guest was clothes on. There was nothing, like nothing you wouldn't show a 5-year-old. And yet we got a warning. So that's why I'm
Wow.
thinking they picked up on a word or two along the way and just whatever. Well,
Yeah.
how often do you plan to post, or do you have a set schedule for your blog?
I try to do every Friday.
Okay,
Um, try to get it out about 7 o'clock
okay.
Eastern time. But
I I don't think I've ever mentioned this before on the show, but I used to have a blog as well, not a naturism blog,
mhm.
but related to my career and things we were doing. And I think it was every Saturday morning I posted. And the same with the show. I wanted to make sure because there were people expecting a post when they got up Saturday morning or whenever it was. And you're right, you got those timelines like, okay, it's, you're thinking throughout the week. Okay, it's Monday. What
Right.
should I write about this week? I can't think of anything. It's Tuesday. What should I, and finally you get to Friday. I better think of something quickly here,
Yeah.
or all heck's going to break loose and people are going to write in, you're a loser. I can't believe it. So,
I
uh,
I've had a few of those weeks where it comes to Friday, and Friday morning I'm sitting there scrambling on my phone, coming up with something, but you know, it,
yeah, yeah. That's what happens in the creative world, and it's the same with all of us, whether we're writers or radio, TV, making movies, on stage, whatever, cooking.
yeah.
Sometimes you have those moments,
Hmm.
but you have to overcome them. And as you said in your email to us, we never make excuses, and we're
No.
really big on that because that seems to be worse than ever before. Maybe I'm just the get off my lawn old guy now, but you know you're going to deliver something to me 12 noon on Tuesday and it doesn't show up. Well, where's that? Oh, I forgot and my mom called me and I had to take the dog out and the sun got my eyes. Those people are not allowed to work here
Right.
or work in our circle because we need action. We need results. What are you going to do? When are you going to do it? Well, let's go do it. And
Right.
I'm sure that's how a lot of that's because that's how I was raised. But if you're going to write a blog and you're going to say, I'm going to post every Friday, you probably ought to post every Friday. And
Right.
for the most part, you have, right? You've had a couple of weeks where,
Yeah, for the most part. It helps if I have like I'll start writing multiple posts,
yeah,
At
yeah.
one point, I'll sit down on a Saturday and start writing and just so I
Hmm.
have backups and backups of backups.
Yeah. And like you did with the nude boat, sometimes it's good to take, something into 2 parts or 3 parts or 7 parts. So then you're covered for the next 7 weeks if you want to do it that way or whatever you're doing. And
Yeah,
so,
the magazines are good for that because
yeah.
I think I have like 30 of them. So that's
Wow.
6 months worth of posts right there.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly. See, you're thinking, and that's what I
Right.
like. That's what I admire about that, as opposed to, okay, I got a deadline in an hour. I haven't given this any thought. Oh shoot, I can't think of anything. Oh well, I'll try next week. No, you're thinking about it. Like, how can I overcome this potential obstacle? Because you don't know when the obstacle is going to hit. You might sit down. I'm fired up. I'm going to write, and then nothing. Well,
Right.
got to have a backup ready to go, right?
I've had other blogs that I had a photography blog and it was every day. I was posting every day and I sometimes I don't know how I did that.
Yeah,
Like I'm just how was I so productive back then? But I guess I'm just busy now. But
yeah.
once a week is good.
Yeah, and we can't do it all in life, but when we decide to do something and we put our resources there. And I think
Right.
you said something in the email, basically you make it a priority.
Right.
Because we
Right.
do sleep every night. Apparently that's a priority for people. We drink water every day. Apparently that's a priority for people. We do other things in life that we don't think we can do, but we do it. We
Right.
go to work. Those who have jobs or whatever, we go to the doctor when we're sick. As opposed to, well, the sun got in my eye, so I didn't make it to the doctor. Now I'm worse. Oh well, no, you do what you need to do when you need to do it. And so I'm glad you're doing this. How does it feel to be back writing after your 3 years or so off?
It's good. It's a challenge, but I like a challenge.
But do you
So
feel fired up and enthused throughout the week? The juice is flowing, even when you're doing something else.
I mean I'm passionate about naturism and
Hmm.
so it's easy to write about something you're passionate about.
Well, easy for you. Not everybody can write very well. You
Uh,
actually write very well, and that's why we appreciate your posts around here.
well, thank you.
So what's next in your life now? The big nude vote is just once a year. Is that right, or is that more?
Right. I think they've got well, they got the big new boat. That's usually February.
Okay.
I think they do a couple other little cruises with the bare necessities.
The big nude boat. How many people are on there? Like 1,000 or 2,000 or
I think they
quite a
said
few.
it was there was like 1980 something this year,
That's great.
but
That is absolutely great, and that's the place. It's one of the places to go. Just again, clothes free living for all the right reasons. And as you get closer to port, they tell you to put your clothes on. Well, put them on.
yep.
So we can live and see everything for another day. And again, we've been talking to Jonathan today from the Jacksonville, Florida area, better known as the Orthodox Nudist. You can find him at orthodoxnudist.wordpress.com, link in the show notes. And Jonathan, we're glad you're back at it. First of all, living the life of a naturist and getting out there with First Coast Naturists in the Jacksonville area, but also writing again. And we're glad you're doing it. You're a big contributor, and we check out your posts here all the time. So keep up the great work on that as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad to be back at it, and I'm glad to actually have real social nudist experience now, as opposed to just whatever my idea was back in the day.
Yeah. And as you get more posts out there, we'll try to have you back on
Okay.
maybe semi regularly because you're putting out a lot of content. So if we wait 2 years, we'll have to
Right.
have a 25-hour interview to get it all in. So we'll get you on more often. Great to have you here. Great to meet you. And thanks for reaching out to us back in, I think, January or February.
Yeah.
And orthodoxnudist.wordpress.com. Jonathan is his name. Jonathan, thank you very much. Go out there and have a great clothes-free day. We'll talk again soon.
Of course, you too.
All right, thank you. The very terrific Jonathan from Jacksonville, Florida, better known as the Orthodox Nudist, has his own blog by the same name. The link is in the show notes. Visit his blog early and often. He posts every week, and we thank and appreciate Jonathan, the Orthodox Nudist, for being on these last two Saturday shows. And on the next two Saturday shows, which will be episodes 221 and 223, our special guest will be Giulia, born and raised in Italy, now lives in Las Vegas. She is an aerial acrobat, been with Cirque du Soleil before, a nude model, fully blown nudist, loves to be clothes-free all of the time, at home at least, and certainly at the nude beach as well. And we will see her again on episodes 221 and 223. And before we head for the hills until Wednesday's show, let's bring back in our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. Welcome back, Lisa.
It's good to be back, and what a great interview. I truly enjoyed listening to him.
You can always tell when somebody is the genuine deal or if they're a phony. This guy, Jonathan, the Orthodox Nudist, as pure can be. And that's why I really enjoy talking to him and reading his work. And as I told him, we'll have him back on more often, maybe even semi-regularly, because he does update his blog all of the time.
That's great.
So if we wait another year, that's going to be, at least 52 articles to discuss.
That'll be a long show to go over those things. So
yeah, no kidding. So we'll get him on more often as our schedules allow us to do that.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So what are your plans for the rest of the weekend as we get ready for next Wednesday show?
Well, I think sun, and more sun, and a couple of errands. But for the most part, just kick back and enjoy, because there's some things coming up that I have to attend to from a business standpoint. So, might as well enjoy it now while I can.
All right. Sounds very good. If you promise to be extremely over the top, naked as a jaybird until Wednesday, we'll get together then. Is that a deal?
It's a deal.
All right, we'll see you then.
Bye, everybody.
Well, you've been listening to Naked, Nudist, and Naturist, episode 219 today. We give you a brand new show every Saturday morning, 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, and on most Wednesdays, 12 noon Eastern Time. Continue to join us. Check us out on our website, nakednudistandnaturist.com, Spotify, Google, Amazon/Audible, Apple Podcasts. And also on Twitter, you can write us anywhere, anytime, any place. And we thank you for being with us today. Plan to join us for every single one of our shows here and have your clothes off when you're listening. We have our clothes off when we're broadcasting, enjoying the naturist life.
We celebrate clothes-free living for all. Remember to enjoy being naked and join us again for Naked Nudists and Naturists.
We drop a brand new show every Saturday morning, so come back and join us. Have your clothes off when you do for Naked Nudists and Naturists. Have a great clothes-free day.